If you have been struggling to declutter, it is probably because you believe one or more of these 5 lies that have been fed to you. I'm on a personal mission to dispel the 3rd one. But I want to break down each one, and for each one I'm going to link to a separate video that will either go into that topic in a lot more depth or will help to just kind of better illustrate the point. So if you get to one and you feel like that's something that you particularly struggle with, go watch whatever other video I link to for that, because it will really help to guide you. Okay, let's go. Hey, how's it going? It's Laura and I help you live a simpler, happier life. And it's hard to do that when you're living a lie. Though I do think there's a good case to be made for ignorance is bliss in certain situations. But anyway, let's just dive right into these myths. The first one is that and I am living proof that this is not true at all, but it's that it is completely pointless to declutter if the people that you live with, the other people in your household, are not on board. I know how easy it is to believe that. I know how easy it is to think that someone else is the problem. My husband, no, not really. He's lovely. But you can still make massive inroads just by focusing on your own stuff, because realistically, less is less. You know, it's great. I mean, sure, it could be even less, but less is still a big start. Now, I do not subscribe to this mentality that if you declutter, others will see it and then, you know, they'll be encouraged to declutter and they'll start doing it. No, that has not been my experience. Okay, I've been decluttering for a decade now and still nothing from either my husband or my daughter. They do occasionally declutter some stuff, and particularly if I ask them to look at, you know, a certain box of stuff or certain things. But no, generally not on board the minimalism train. But I've still managed to make huge inroads in this area. I've still managed to make my home a lot more streamlined, make my routines a lot more streamlined. I mean, if you only declutter your stuff in the closet, still means that your morning routine is going to be easier for you. It's going to make getting dressed in the morning so much easier. If you only focus on your stuff, let's say your craft or hobby stuff, it's still going to make your life more enjoyable. You will still experience a net positive even if you only focus on your stuff. So I'm going to link to a video where I talk about what to do if other people are not on board with decluttering. A very helpful video, goes through many different topics and areas to look at, but a big thing is just to understand, number one, like I said, you could still make massive progress, but also understanding that other people, while they may not necessarily be enthusiastic about decluttering, they can still help you in many other ways. You know, my husband has been great at helping me, like, just even physically move things. He's been great at helping me to make decisions on certain things. You know, he is less sentimental about certain things than I would be, and he can bring that kind of more logical approach. He can talk me down from the ledge, sort of. He can offer me a different perspective. But even just in terms of things like, if I am deep in the trenches of decluttering something, he can make meals. He can, like I said, help me lift things, carry things. He can do a drop off at the charity shop. There are so many other ways in which he can be helpful, and people in your life can be helpful, even if they're not necessarily involved in the actual decluttering process. So do not let that deter you from decluttering. You can still make headway, you can still make massive progress, and you can still see a visible difference in your home and in your routines. Second myth then, and I will admit this is kind of a little bit of a wishy-washy one. It requires a little bit of explanation, so I will do that, bear with me. But it's this idea that decluttering is about getting rid of stuff. Really, it's about making space for other stuff. It's about focusing on what sparks joy, on what makes you happy, and less about the stuff that you're getting rid of. So it's less about sacrifice or limiting yourself, and more about expanding your opportunities or opening yourself up to other more interesting, more meaningful things. So it's about honing in on what matters to you. It's about choosing what you want to keep in your life. It's about choosing what type of life you want to live. It is about focusing on getting that concentrated dose of happiness and fulfillment. Here's where it can kind of get tricky. It can be difficult when you're decluttering to only focus on, and I know it's part of the whole KonMari method, but it's difficult to focus on the things you want to keep and not focus on the things that you're getting rid of. When we think of decluttering, that is what we think of. We think of getting rid of stuff. So it can definitely be difficult from the kind of more practical aspect of things. But I think it's really important to keep in mind why we're doing that. Like, decluttering is the means to an end, with that end being saying yes to the type of life that you want to lead, saying yes to the things that you want to surround yourself with. So decluttering, yes, it is technically about getting rid of stuff, but again, that is just the way that you get to the ultimate goal, which is joy and contentment and a life that truly lights you up. It's not about taking things away so much as it's about giving yourself the time and the space and the energy and the resources to do the things that matter to you. It's less about cleaning and more about creating. So I mentioned the whole idea of sparks joy. You know, we focus on the things that spark joy. I do know though that there can be a lot of confusion around that term, because you think, well, you know, like that's not a good criteria to use, because what if something doesn't spark joy but I need it? You know, like a cleaning cloth or a vacuum, or like, I don't know, various different things, a bill, a vegetable. They're all things that you might think like, these don't spark joy, so how can I focus on the things that spark joy? Like, that doesn't really make any sense to me. So I want to point you to a video, direct your attention to a video where I talk about that exact phenomenon. Like, what do you do with things that don't spark joy but that you still need? So how can you focus more or get more clarity around this idea of sparks joy? How can you focus more on the joy part and less on the ugh part? But yeah, try and get it out of your head that decluttering is about depriving yourself. It's really about expanding your horizons and making so much more time and space in your life for wonderful things to come in, even if those wonderful things are just a nap or like reading your book in peace for 5 minutes. It's not about deprivation, it's about indulgence. And indulgence is probably not a word that springs to mind when you think of decluttering, but really when you make that perspective shift, you start to understand that it's about adding things to your life, really, not just subtracting. It's more about the addition than the subtraction. Next is the one that I am personally on a mission to dispel, just by the way that I live my life. I have a bee in my bonnet about this one. But it is the lie, the out and out lie, that being a minimalist or decluttering is all about living a bland, boring, beige life. Listen, my home office is colourful. It is bright, it is silly, it is cheerful, it is sparkles and rainbows, and it is full of colour and life and fun. I'm going to link to the video where I took it from bland and boring and beige to colourful and light and bright and airy and decluttered. Also, since that video, I have started building out a gallery wall over here in the corner that is dedicated to all things horror. Definitely not boring. I am not your typical minimalist. I have two sides to my personality. Okay, the first is all rainbows and unicorns and sparkles and fun and 90s children's TV presenter energy. It is carefree, it is childlike, it's fun and frivolous and silly. The other is dark and gothic and grungy and metal and horror and moody. And sometimes it's both at once. You know, I've recently taken up baking. I've been doing a lot of baking recently, and I can be there in my little apron wearing my unicorn pajamas, you know, mixing up cookie dough and making bread and muffins and things, and all the while my speakers will be blasting metal music. Minimalism for me has never been boring. It has never been bland or beige. And then as a part two to this, another thing that I have a bee in my bonnet about, minimalism is not about the bare minimum. Like, if that were true, then every minimalist would be living in a tent or in a cave somewhere. Minimalism is about enhancing your life, not limiting it, like I've already discussed. It's removing the weeds so that your flowers can bloom and blossom and really grow and thrive, and it doesn't matter how many flowers you have. There's a difference between having a life that's full and having a fulfilling life. There are certain areas in which I have a lot of stuff, but it's not clutter because it's all stuff that I love. It's stuff that I use or that brings me a lot of joy. I mean, could I completely strip out this office and take away all of the tinsel that I leave up all year round? The Santa hat on Jack here. Could I take away all of the plants and the children's books and the various knickknacks and things? Would that be more minimal? I mean, in one sense, but it would not be minimalism in the true sense, because then I would be stripping away not just the clutter, but also the things that bring me joy. Minimalism is about having more of what matters to you and stripping away everything else. So I've done a whole video, it's a really old one. This is probably one of the first videos I ever made, actually. That's how long I have been serious about this topic. That's how long it's been annoying me, frustrating me. It's an old video, but it's all about what minimalism truly means. So if you really want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into this topic and really get a handle on what minimalism means, that is maybe a little bit different from what you have heard or led to believe in terms of the bland, boring, beige, bare walls type image. If you're not really vibing with that, if you're more the colorful person, or you think, I can't live a minimalist life because I like reading, I like having a lot of books or whatever, go check out that video, because I think it would be eye-opening for you. Myth number 4 then, look at this joy all around me. Myth number 4 is that decluttering takes a lot of time and effort. And yes, okay, it can, particularly if you're doing something like the KonMari method, which can be very intense and which involves a lot of work, a lot of effort. That is kind of one of the more hardcore methods of decluttering, but it doesn't have to. Okay, it does not have to. A lot of people put off decluttering because it feels very overwhelming. It feels very time consuming. It feels very draining, essentially. Like, it's just that you don't have the time and the energy to dedicate to it. It feels impossible. I know I have definitely felt that at various different stages, you know, when facing into a big decluttering job like the garage or something like that, toys. It can definitely feel like a lot. It can feel like you'll never get a handle on it. But it can be as simple as just opening a drawer one day and realizing that it's difficult to open because there's so much stuff wedged in there. So you take a few things out, you kind of rearrange it, you donate those things, pop them in a donation box, and then that's it. The drawer opens smoothly, you can find what you need. It could be as simple as decluttering a few things from your closet. You know, maybe you go and you get dressed in the morning and you realize that there's a particular top that you keep skipping over. You might not even be sure exactly why, but it's just being more aware of those things, so that then you think, you know what, I never seem to choose this top for whatever reason. I'm just going to donate it. I'm going to set it free. I'm going to unburden myself. It can really be that easy. And I know some of you might be thinking, well, that's more kind of like the maintenance type of things. You know, I've got a lot of decluttering to do. I've got a lot of stuff, and small little things like that are not going to make a dent. I'm here to tell you that so much can be achieved in small steps, and everyone kind of scoffs, and I have done it. I've scoffed at things thinking like, no, this is going to require like gargantuan effort and small steps are going to get me nowhere. But I have proven to myself time and time again, and I've really honed in on this in the last probably 2-ish years. I've really gone hardcore on the baby steps. and the difference it's made. Like, you can still declutter your entire kitchen just going drawer by drawer. You can declutter your entire house, taking it 1 square foot at a time. It's dedicating 5 or 15 minutes to it here and there as you have the time and the energy. It does not have to be this massive, overwhelming thing. You can break it down and you can tackle it bit by bit until you get to the finish line. And every step that you take is going to make your life that little bit easier. It's going to give you a little bit more energy. It's going to give you a little bit more time and space. It's going to give you a little bit more motivation. So you're building as you go. You could just, clear out your purse as you're waiting on hold with the bank or whoever, like the insurance company. You could just look over your kitchen gadgets while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. You could clear the clutter out of your car, all the rubbish and stuff while you're filling the tank. I cannot overemphasize how easy it can be to declutter if you just kind of incorporate it in small amounts into your daily life. So if you are feeling overwhelmed by decluttering, if you are feeling very stressed out by it, if it does seem like this massive, overwhelming task, then I'm going to link you to a video where I talk about how to get started, how to turn it from something that is stressful to something that is straightforward. I haven't made a video in so long that I can't remember which corner of the screen is it. Is it this one? I think no. It's this one. I'm pretty sure it's here. This last one. Oh, okay. This one has basically defined my channel for the longest time, and I'm ready to branch out. Well, okay. Branching out makes it sound like I'm going in a different direction. I want to be all the branches. I want to be the whole tree. I'm going to be taking a more holistic approach. So the myth is that decluttering is only about physical stuff. It's the first thing we think about because it's so visible. It's the things we interact with on a daily basis. It's the things we trip over every day. It surrounds us, and yes, physical decluttering, like physical items, it's a great place to start. Really does set a solid foundation, but there is so much more to decluttering. It's only one branch. I've done a whole separate video on the 9 different branches of minimalism that I have found. I won't go into all of them here, but these are the culprit. Like at least one of these is the culprit if you have decluttered physical stuff and your life still feels chaotic, if you do not feel calm and at peace. It's because other areas of your life are still cluttered. Maybe you have a lot of mental clutter, things that you're trying to remember, tasks that you're trying to juggle, decisions you're trying to make, different mindsets and beliefs that you have, old ideas, other people's thoughts and opinions. Could also be relational clutter where somebody in your life is monopolizing your time and attention, or you're in a relationship, whether romantic or platonic, where it's just very unbalanced. The other person is constantly taking, and it has become a very unhealthy situation. Like, it's not mutually beneficial. The dynamic is just not there. Like, it's a burden on you. Every relationship, of course, will go through times where one person needs more than the other. But if overall it's not this healthy give and take, if all it's doing really is draining you, that is a form of relational clutter. And look, I have primarily covered physical decluttering on this channel, as I think so many decluttering channels do, because it's easier to teach people how to get rid of physical stuff than it is to get rid of negative beliefs or toxic relationships. I'm not a therapist, but I would like to delve a little bit deeper into those topics in the future because I just feel like they're not covered enough. And as I've gone through the process of physical decluttering, I've realized just how much other clutter there is and how much of an impact decluttering in other ways can have on your life. Physical decluttering can be surface level. And yes, like I said, it's a great foundation. It's a great place to start from, but there are also other deeper layers to it. That's not to say that there won't still be plenty of physical decluttering videos on this channel. There definitely will, but I do want to explore the other topics. I want you to declutter your entire life and not just your physical stuff. I want you to experience the peace and the contentment and the calm in all areas of your life. I want you to be able to slow down and savor life and not just have less stuff. Still great, we'll still be covering that topic, but let's dive a little deeper. Let's uncover more layers. Let's shed older skins, as it were, and really expand those benefits to all areas of our lives. So if you're down for that, make sure you're subscribed. If there's a particular topic that you would like me to delve into when it comes to simpler living, definitely let me know. And until then, you can go check out my overview of the 9 different types of clutter. So again, you can get a head start. You can really start to declutter all areas of your life. Until then, go raibh míle maith agaibh. Agus feici mé sibh se go luath. Slán.